Welcome to our webinar on incorporating AI automation into hiring, the 2026 Hiring Playbook. I'm Marty Peterson, and I'll be your host today as we tackle a challenging question that every recruiting leader should be asking. Are your hiring systems and processes ready for what's coming next? After approximately 950,000 layoffs this last quarter, we're heading into 2026 with a million plus AI perfected resumes hitting inboxes. The challenge won't be finding talent, it'll be keeping up with volume, speed, and expectations. To unpack this, we brought together leaders who've seen hiring from every angle, from building technology and running teams to scaling outreach across borders and improving candidate experience through automation. Let's start with a quick round of introductions. First, Nick Shaw, CEO of Peterson Technology Partners, PTP. Nick leads PTP, a US based technology talent firm serving enterprise clients. He's been driving the shift to AI driven recruiting systems that are reshaping how PTP engages candidates and hiring teams. Next, we have Tim Mullen, managing partner of the Cervantes Group. Tim leads a global tech consulting and staffing firm operating across the US, Puerto Rico, and nearshore markets. His team is implementing AI assisted outreach and pre qualification to handle the rising candidate volume without losing personalization. We also have Clancy Ryan, SaaS sales leader. Clancy works across SaaS and staffing organizations to operationalize AI orchestration in hiring, moving teams from manual, unpredictable outreach to structured data backed processes. And last, we have Riley Hemming, Associate Account Executive for PTP. Riley coordinates between client hiring managers and PTP's internal recruiting operations. She also experienced our AI led hiring process as a candidate, giving her a unique perspective from both sides of the process. If you have questions during the session, please put them in the comments and we'll get back to you with answers after the session. Let's start from the ground up. What's actually broken in today's hiring process? Nick Shaw, from a CEO's perspective, what exactly is driving the slowdown in the hiring process?
Yeah, thank you, Marty, for the question. The slowdown is coming from a lot of siloed systems that the human resources, recruiting companies, or the recruiters are working in, right? There is manual outreach, which slows down the whole process. The candidate follow up is broken, right? Rescreening that happens because the hiring managers, recruiters are not in sync with what they are looking for. And then because of all of this, the time to hire gets stretched out, right? If you look at the stats, the time to hire right now for a single position is somewhere upwards of 30 days to 66 days, which is a tremendous time to hire. And because of that reason, the projects are getting impacted, the timelines on those projects are impacted, which impacts the overall performance for a company.
So so even with more tools, the issue is really the lack of connected flow that breaks scalability?
Yes, yes. That has been a huge problem for recruiting companies, staffing companies, the hiring companies, is that siloed systems that does not communicate with each other in a perfect harmonious way to make the hiring process better for both the hiring managers as well as for the employees and consultants.
Well, that's certainly a large obstacle to overcome. Tim, you've got a global lens operating across mainland US, Puerto Rico, and nearshore teams. What challenges surfaced for Cervantes as you scaled outreach?
Well, started this business a long time ago, and when we did it, everything was paper and some old, database. I would say that when we're looking at our team and our numbers and our growth, we're always almost growing faster than we can handle. Now, it's a good problem to have. But what we realized was, without burning out our employees and without, affecting morale in a negative way, if we could engage some AI tools to really help us, you know, leverage our skills and help us, be more effective, then I think that would help. And so that's what we've done. And the team now already has their system. It's already integrated with our internal ATS, Panza Touch, and our jobs portal, and everything's been combined. So that process, what we call our CDAs, they're either client delivery associates or client delivery advisors if they're more senior. And what that team does is they're able to um, they're able to set up their meetings in days, almost tripling each day, from just using the tool and without feeling, like, oh, this is overwhelming. So we're been very, very happy with this.
Interesting. Okay, Clancy, turning to you, you work with companies trying to modernize this. What do you see most often?
Yes, Marty, I see for 2026 really three areas regarding hiring trends for companies. The first one is volume, second is velocity, and the third, which is table stakes, but really true, is candidate experience. So, Marty, imagine this by 2026, companies are expected to be flooded with over 45% of a surge in applications. And a lot of those are AI generated with keywords buried in there. That's the volume side of it, an unprecedented scale that we haven't seen. The second, which I mentioned, which is velocity, AI tools are really slashing time to hire. We're seeing almost up to 40%, but only if you adapt. Otherwise, it just moves past you. And the third is really that candidate experience. Again, we talk about that as table stakes, but the stat is that 94% of applicants will accept or reject based on that experience. So poor journeys will tank the brand and your company's experience. So today we have chaos with a flood of AI resumes. And in 2026, for companies, it's really that clarity with an AI orchestration for screening, personalization, all involved into one.
So, would you agree then that automation's first win isn't speed, but consistency?
Yes, indeed, consistency.
Thank you. Let's look at another perspective. Riley, let me ask you, wearing both your coordinator hat and as someone who was hired through our AI led process, from your perspective, where did hiring break down most before automation?
Yeah, Marty, I would say as a candidate, I went through the job application process for about 9 months, and there was really just this overall black hole feeling that I think anyone in the job search can attest to right now. I would actually say that this has been going on for a while, probably past couple of years, but only recently are people really starting to get frustrated and need to do something about it. In my experience, after submitting a job application, I was waiting weeks for a response. I'd even say about 75% of the applications I submitted, I never heard back on next steps. But now on the account management side, I've experienced kind of this chaos that this influx of seemingly qualified opportunities has caused on a few fronts. First, the scheduling is endless back and forth between the hiring manager, the account managers, and the candidates. So without this automation, client outreach is often duplicated or mistimed from different team members because of this inconsistent or undocumented notes. So this has also caused delays on project updates and status that were really just sitting in email threads the entire time.
So there's a lot to coordinate and pull together, is what you're saying.
Yes, for sure.
Thank you, Riley. That's a lot of different elements that have to be coordinated. So now let's talk about what specific changes are needed. Not the theory, but in the actual day-to-day execution. Tim, you are among the first to test AI assisted outreach in your firm. How did the pilot start? Can you walk us through it?
Okay. So actually, as it relates to choosing the right tool, I think one of the aspects that we did when we did a pilot with Rebecca AI was we were able to see that this tool made too many calls. I mean, it could make thousands and thousands a day, and we just use it in a small manner. But what it did was it helped us realize that we needed to be internally in our corporate side. We needed to be more yeah, what's the word? Organized, more oriented to the task at hand, A time versus B time. And I think just by doing a pilot, we realized, okay, we have to sharpen our game a little more. We got to do this better. We have to have, better Excel spreadsheets. We have to have better integration of the team and talking and where we're going and what's the main number. And I think that too it really helped us sit back, and within the week we had completely changed and reformatted our processes, and we saw the results and we were very happy.
So outreach didn't just scale, it cleaned the pipeline.
We realized that if we had some erroneous phone numbers, or if we had incorrect emails by any aspect, we knew immediately. So it was real time, giving us a data driven answers, and so that was very favorable for us. And again, I want to say this again: the team it really has embraced it already from just engaging this tool, and it's already become an aspect of our business.
Well, that's a huge
Important.
step forward. Thank you. Clancy, for the teams you've worked with, what does orchestration actually automate?
Well, orchestration, it automates multi-channel outreach. So we talk about SMS, email, voice, which are consent safe, and there's no duplicates. So it runs really a structured early screening with auto summaries and then routes only the qualified candidates to the applicant tracking system for the recruiter to review, which is really key.
Yeah. So how fast can teams typically see an ROI from this?
One company that we work with cut screening time by 68% and boosted response rates, which is just as important, by 42%. It's that silent engine turning that chaos that I talked about earlier into a signal.
So that's significant, a big change for these companies.
You bet.
So Nick, for you at a leadership level, how do you ensure automation stays human centered?
Yes. I mean, I'll talk about our own example at Peterson Technology Partners. When we started implementing AI, I went back and looked at our current process and said, okay, where can we introduce AI into it? And then um, go across the whole process. So, my recommendation is look at your current process, look at your future state process, and see how we can slowly, from a senior management perspective, start to introduce AI. Right? This is not a magic or silver bullet which is going to solve all your problems on day one. You have to look at it holistically and say, okay, by introducing AI at certain points, how is it helping your employees perform better? Right. So we started by outreach as a simple first step, so that my recruiters can focus on building a human relationships or better relationships with the candidates that are in their hopper, rather than just saying, okay, I need to dial 100 calls, I just need to get through the candidates faster. With AI doing the outreach, now they can spend quality time with the candidates or the applicants, and not have to feel like rushed, or there is a call waiting, or they need to call 10 other people back. So that was the first step, right? And I know the question is, how can you make it human centered? Is approach AI or use AI to help your current teams, right? It's not to replace your existing teams, but how can you make their process efficient, give them more time to focus on the core activity, rather than saying, okay, I can only spend 1 minute per applicant, which is what the industry norm is like, okay, how can you get through the candidates faster? Here you can spend quality time with your candidates.
So would you say orchestration lets recruiters be Human at scale?
Yes, that's the best way to put it. Automation will help your recruiters or recruiting teams be more efficient, will have more time to build quality relationship with the applicants, and has time to reach back out and provide feedback on the candidates or interview prep that you may need with your candidate. So it gives your recruiter breathing time where they can actually make better connections with the candidates.
So we're not replacing recruiters. We're just giving them the tools to
Yeah.
do the job the way they want to.
Yes. I have been pretty vocal about it that AI is not here to replace humans. It's going to help you focus on that core 20% of your daily activity, so that you get more efficient in that 20%, which gives you 80% of the result you're looking for.
Well, that is a big improvement from the current state. So, Riley, from the client coordinator's desk, sitting between the client hiring managers and our recruiting ops, what changed for you?
Yeah, I would say it's made the entire process more efficient on all ends. There's no forgetting follow-ups or deadlines or multiple candidates whose resumes kind of all seem the same. The one pager keeps information really concise and in one place for everyone to access, which we've seen lead to 80% faster shortlists and 60% lower costs per hire.
If I can add to what Riley was saying, it tremendously helps because when you have an AI generated resume, and like I was saying earlier, it's very hard for hiring managers to decipher which is a better candidate. Here in your automation process, if you have an AI that's doing a video interview on your behalf, right? So now you're not just looking at an AI generated resume, but you are having a human um, talk about their experience in their own words, which is getting captured. And it gives you a score on the person's communication skills, their presentation skills, that if it's a technical role, their technical ability, or their strength and their weaknesses, right? All of that goes beyond just the paper resume. Now you can start to take all of that into consideration when you are making your hiring decision. So it helps the AI automation, if it's done properly, will help that hiring process. And if you set that process properly on the back end from a hiring manager perspective, then you can say, okay, you know, this candidate actually hits all the points that I am looking for. And then you can bring that person for the final step, which is face to face, video interview, whatever the process is for your company, but it will help you. Plus, what it does is that you are not going to miss out on good candidate. So that's the biggest takeaway from it.
So it's helping people make the right decisions and really finding the right fit for the position.
Exactly. And if you have 1,200 candidates for a single position, it's going to go through all 1,200 and bring you the top candidates to the top, or forward, that you can focus on. So what Riley was saying, that black hole is eliminated because now the candidates are hearing back from you, from the company. But at the same time, from a hiring manager perspective, it's going to help you bring, the top candidates to the front. So those are the advantages on both sides, actually.
Well, and also making the company's reputation
Yep.
enhanced
Yeah.
because you're actually responding to people as opposed to leaving them in limbo without hearing anything. So we've heard how automation changed the day to day, faster outreach, cleaner handoffs, fewer rescreens. But what does that actually look like in motion? The next part of our webinar will bring all these pieces together. Nick's going to walk us through the system behind those results with our AI recruiter, Rebecca, showing how outreach, screening, scoring, and handoffs connect from end to end.
Thank you, Marty. I'm showing you the end to end candidate journey that you can automate using AI, right? From easy apply to SMS outreach to getting a pre qualification call to updating the SMS again to a video interview. So let me walk you through a scenario so you get a better understanding of how that workflow works. So here, as you can see on my right hand side of the screen, as the candidate comes across your job opening or your requisition, they are browsing through it. They are doing an easy apply. So here, Riley is actually applying for a position, giving us the consent, and that consent is important. And now Riley getting an SMS instantly in milliseconds, asking if she's available for a pre-qualification call. So what it does is that this is not restricted to 9 to 5. Riley could be available after hours, late in the evening. And when she says, yes, I'm available for call, she will receive that AI pre-qualification call immediately. And let me play that for you.
Hello. Hi, this is Rebecca, your AI recruiter from Pete and Gabby. I'm reaching out to ask a few quick screening questions. This will just take a few minutes. Ready to get started?
Yes.
Are you legally authorized to work in the United States?
Yes.
Do you have at least 1 year of experience in retail management?
Yes.
How many years of customer service experience do you have?
And please remember, all of this is fully customizable for your company or your process. So SMS could be a two-way chat where you are qualifying someone on an SMS, or if you want that qualification to happen over a phone call, you can customize the whole process or the journey. And once the pre-qualification call is completed, based on the criteria that you are setting up for that role, Riley would get another SMS inviting her for a video interview. So let me give you a little bit of glimpse of how that mobile video interview will work.
Hi, Riley. I'm Rebecca, PTP's AI interviewer. How are you doing today?
Hi, Rebecca. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. To start, could you please share an overview of your background and why you feel you might be a good fit for this role?
Yes. So I just graduated from
Let me
Miami
fast forward it
University
a
of
little bit
Ohio
so
in May.
you get an
I studied
understanding.
strategic communication.
Understood. You mentioned relationship building and problem solving. What is your most effective way of learning and retaining things?
Yeah, I would say definitely asking questions. I think continuing to
As you can
learn
see,
about.
these are all Rebecca asking based on how Riley is answering her previous questions. So it's designed to keep digging into candidates' history, work history, their past companies that they have worked on, to get you a better glimpse of whether the candidate is going to be a right fit for the role. So I'll continue to play, but you will get an understanding. So here we go.
Got it. Why would you want to work in a role that involves rejection, quotas, and pressure?
Yeah, I think I am definitely self-motivated, and I think having a quota to meet every month, every 6 months, every year, that will help me stay on track, as well as wanting to go
Okay,
above and
so let
beyond
me
for
pause
that.
the video interview.
In terms
Once
of
she goes through the
rejection,
entire process, all of that information is uploaded into your ATS system with a clear, defined next steps that your recruiters or the hiring managers can take. But it is also providing you in-depth dashboard and decision making process. So from communication, proficiency, presentation, if it's technical skills, what the person's strength and weaknesses are, and then providing you an overall score on the person and giving you an assessment whether the person is a match for your role, and what next steps you should be taking in the journey. And then let me show you the last step for the technical roles. We have Rebecca also capable of doing technical assessment. So let me go ahead and play that for you.
Please tell me a little about yourself and your professional background.
My name is Merhawi, and I have been a software engineer for more than 11 years. I have worked as a full stack engineer, mostly focusing on as a front end engineer for the past few years.
Thanks for sharing your background, Mahawi. Given your experience with React Native, could you tell me about your approach to optimizing the performance of mobile applications built with React Native?
The basic approach, the most important and frequently used approach for optimizing a React Native application. Some of them are like using flat list.
You mentioned collaborating with backend teams on API contracts. Could you elaborate on your process for defining and ensuring adherence to API contracts when working with backend developers?
Yes, that's a very interesting point. When working with the backend team, one of the biggest challenges is agreeing or having some sort of consent on what the API structure looks like. So I work with the backend teams to agree on API specifications using tools like Swagger or OpenAPI.
I'm sharing a coding exercise window. Please read the instructions carefully and submit the exercise.
As you can see, Rebecca, for the technical roles, can do both the theoretical interview as well as coding exercise, and then take the assessment or the score from here and update the overall score on your candidate. So it takes the pre-qualification call to theoretical to coding and update the overall performance of the candidate so your recruiters or the hiring managers can take the next step.
Thanks so much, Nick, and nice to meet Rebecca. So that's the engine behind what you all have been hearing about: automated outreach, structured screening, and recruiter ready summaries. But how does it feel for the candidates?
From a technical aspect, speaking with Rebecca was fairly natural. Speech rendering was excellent. She sounded great. Her analysis of my response was quite good. I was impressed with that. The way she was able to, parse and understand my ramblings was very good.
Honestly, if I wouldn't have known that it was an AI until maybe later in the interview, because of some delay and some you could tell it's kind of canned response. But it's a good experience because it's as if you're talking with an eligible person. It knows what like you could tell like it knows what I was talking about, and the follow-up questions were spot on because it knew what to ask next based on my previous response.
We rely on Peterson Technology Partners as our staffing partner to help us staff our really quick turnarounds. And it's been phenomenal what you guys have been able to do, especially notice the AI tool that you have. And it's impressive the way you have your bots pre-qualify and the interviews, and then, of course, do various other filters. So we are impressed by that, and we're seeing results.
Was impressed with is the natural speaking manner that Rebecca had and the actual expressions that Rebecca had as well. So it was like talking to a real human where it was actually getting surprised or excited about something versus just being very monotone and very computerized, if you will.
I could tailor the questions to specifically to the role that I'm looking at, whether it's front end, back end, data engineering, senior, or even manager level roles. So AI made it incredibly simple to adjust the depth and complexity in the screening, and that's actually very consistent and easy to apply to the thousands of candidates that would apply to this role. Being able to do these screening for thousands of candidates in Spanish or Portuguese and not needing to hire a talent acquisition partner necessarily in the region right then and there helped us move the needle really quickly. And biggest impacts that I saw was our quality of candidates skyrocketed, and then time saving for our recruiters were really the winning combination for um, the next level of recruiting.
I would like to have Riley talk about it and from her standpoint, what the experience was going through this automated process.
Okay. Yeah, Nick. So this was honestly the most refreshing application process I went through. After being in touch with a PTP recruiter, I received an email for the AI video screening that day. Honestly, at first I was a little skeptical about the whole AI thing and didn't understand what it meant, but I just decided to trust the process. The most impressive part I thought that kept me engaged was how quickly I was getting responses back, which was a breath of fresh air after my never ending job search. For context on timeline, Wednesday, I completed my phone screening, and by the following Monday, I was in Chicago for an in-person interview. And that Tuesday, I've received my offer. So after it was all said and done, I thought to myself, shouldn't it all be this smooth? And I've never really questioned the AI part of it since then. I knew AI was getting implemented into everything, and I felt like this process was tasteful in that way. It wasn't completely AI automated. I was very in touch with a PTP recruiter the entire time, as well as multiple live interviews, but the AI just helped automate those in between steps that ended in me getting a job within 5 days.
I think you can hear the difference. Faster responses, fewer uncertainties, and a clear sense of structure. That's what modern candidate experience looks like when AI works quietly in the background. But what does AI driven hiring really mean for the businesses depending on it? Let's hear from a few leaders shaping what 2026 will look like and how they're preparing right now.
Being a technical manager, AI has helped with screening resumes for required skills. It's been able to process resumes from several sources. Something that would take months to complete is greatly reduced. We also receive statistics from AI and determine that if a job description may need to be revised. At the end of the day, it allows us to fill positions quicker. Another advantage is the courtesy that we give our candidates. Responses to the candidates are given in a timely fashion, which helps with our image. As AI continues to grow, it will benefit any organization by saving time.
So how do you leverage AI? How can you go through round one and round two without myself or my teams to get involved? Like if you could define what the requirements are from my job listings and go through those same thousands of candidates, leveraging video, audio, text to get the information that you need to vet the top ones, that is ideal for people like me. That would save tons of time on cost, my time, my team's time to get us to the top candidates.
So the future of recruiting is really going to be it has to be in this AI world because I just think it's a progress in the right direction that will change the way we're recruiting. Do we replace recruiters with this? No, I think it supercharges our recruiters. It does a lot of heavy lifting and creates just a ability for the recruiter to really put together that the quality relationships and the understanding nuance for each of these candidates.
So, across these different industries, one message stands out: scalability without chaos. AI isn't replacing recruiters, it's amplifying them. By 2026, efficiency won't be a differentiator, it'll be the baseline. Clancy, what are your thoughts about this?
Well, AI really handles all the time consuming logistics for recruiters from timing to reminders and really routing. The ability for the recruiters now just to focus on judgment, context, and relationships is what's key.
So, it allows them to do their job.
You bet.
Tim, do you have any comments on this?
Okay. Well, Marty, as a founder of a company and as an entrepreneur, we're always thinking what's the next best thing. We're always thinking ahead. We're always wondering what we can be doing. When you go to bed at night, you don't want to be settling. You don't want to say, I had an okay day. You want to say, I had an amazing day. Our team is going next level. And I believe that what we've already initiated with Rebecca AI is getting us to that next level.
Nick, what are your thoughts about this?
So, Marty, one of the things that we recently did was I went to all my leaders on the sales, on the recruiting, onboarding, to HR, to finance, and we asked them to uh, give us 3 or 4 or 5, as many as the pain points that from their perspective, the clients on the BD side, the business development side, the recruiters, the pain point that they are experiencing, right? And so what we did is I compiled all of those pain points to start with, and then I said, okay, what can we do to delight our customers, our employees, our consultants with the whole process, right? And it's not just hiring the individual, but once the person is hired, how do we keep them engaged and how do we keep them motivated, right? So from a company perspective, from a leadership perspective, I'm looking at not just from the hiring, but an ongoing process so that the employees are engaged and we get the ROI that we are looking for through the process, right? So my recommendation to any leadership that's looking at this is take a step back, look at the holistic big picture and say, okay, what are the pain points? And by introducing AI, how can I solve that pain point and give better experience to all parties involved in this process?
So it's one thing I want to point out is it's not only using an AI tool like Rebecca, but it's an AI automation. And how do you integrate Rebecca into your overall AI tech stack and automating a lot of the processes and thinking it from a holistic standpoint?
Yeah, I would Clancy recommend any client that is looking to automate, look at the whole process from start to or beginning to end, right? And then see where you can implement or introduce AI into or automation into it, right?
So you've streamlined the process, you've accelerated the process. You might even be able to hire more recruiters who won't be so frustrated with the existing problems in recruiting. Well, thank you everybody for your input. Thank you, Tim, Riley, Clancy, and Nick for your insights. Very interesting. I should thank Rebecca as well. Whether you're hiring in Chicago or San Juan, the theme is the same: speed, structure, and scale without losing the human touch. 2026 will test every hiring team's operating system. AI isn't replacing recruiters, it's removing the friction that's been holding them back. We heard today how AI automation isn't just about speed, it's about precision, predictability, and a better candidate experience. We'd like to share a concise recap of today's session with all of you participating. If you want help mapping this to your stack, PTP would be happy to book a 20-minute orchestration working session. We'll review one live role and outline your first AI automated hiring pilot. And thank you all for joining us today. Until the next time, build smarter, hire faster, and stay ahead. Good luck.